Mr. Speaker, is it appropriate for colleagues to try to impeach Rod Rosenstein? And is it appropriate for them to seek documents that are directly pertinent to an ongoing investigation, the Mueller investigation?
Well, let me step back. First of all, it is appropriate that we conduct oversight of the executive branch and that we get full compliance with the executive branch on what are very legitimate document requests. Do I support impeachment of Rod Rosenstein? No, I do not. I do not for a number of reasons. First, I don't think we should be cavalier with this process or with this term. Number one. Number two, I don't think that this rises to the level of high crimes and misdemeanors, a really high standard. Number three, we, since I got involved, have been getting a lot of compliance from DOJ on the document requests. We do not have full compliance, and we have to get full compliance, but we've been making tremendous progress to that point. The second reason why I think that is not the right way to go is because knowing the Senate procedures and the rules over there, this is about as privileged as anything gets over there. It's one of the most privileged things that occurs in the Senate. And if this were to pass through the House, then what it would do is tie the Senate into knots. What does that mean to us practically speaking? That means it would derail or largely delay a big part of our agenda, our appropriation bills, our infrastructure bills, and it would clearly dramatically delay the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh to go to the Supreme Court, which we expect to get done by October 1st when the Supreme Court reconvenes. So for many reasons, I don't think it's the right way to go. But we do expect compliance. We want to make sure that we get compliance, and we look at all the various tools we have available, including having the kinds of dialogues we've been having recently in order to get compliance from DOJ.
What are the specific documents related to the Mueller investigation?
Oh, well, so we have a process. We have a process with DOJ on that. We have a process with DOJ on the documents, and the special counsel gets involved when some documents might be in their purview and could compromise their investigation. Those documents do not come. So we have a process with DOJ to make sure that we deconflict any of these matters. Yeah.
So on that front, given what you just said, did you try to discourage your colleagues from taking this step? Do you view this as a legitimate effort or as a stunt?
Look, I think they know how I feel about this. We all want to make sure that we get compliance, and different members have different beliefs on how best to go achieve those goals, but we want to make sure that we get compliance from DOJ with our document requests. We've gotten a great deal of progress on the compliance, but we do not have full compliance, and we expect to get that.
Joining us now, CNN senior political analyst Mark Preston and Nia Malika Henderson, CNN senior political reporter. Let me get your reaction first, Mark, to Paul Ryan defending the DOJ here.
Well, not surprising, because Paul Ryan realizes that while talk of impeachment really helps with the Republican base and the Trump supporters, it's not going to help with his very endangered incumbents who are running across the country, specifically in these swing districts where they perhaps only won by a few points, or Hillary Clinton had won when she ran in 2016.
And yet, Nia Malika, he has been careful in the past to really stick up for his people. We've seen him back Devin Nunes, for example, in the Republican memo when it came to that FISA warrant application for Carter Page.
Yeah, I think that's right. And this goes to the difficulty of Paul Ryan's job and why he doesn't want that job anymore, and why at some point there'll be a fight for who's going to be the next speaker or who's going to be the next minority leader there. We'll see what happens. And you saw him there basically say, since he's gotten involved, there is some compliance on the DOJ in terms of producing these documents. Whether or not there ever will be full compliance in terms of what these folks want, Jim Jordan and Mark Meadows and the 9 or so others that are filing these articles of impeachment, we'll see. But my goodness, I think Paul Ryan is counting down the days until he is out of town.
And Mark, speaking of who's going to be the person to replace Paul Ryan, Jim Jordan confirming to our Sunland Sarfati that he is going to run for that position.
Yeah, he's going to run for that position. He's also embroiled in this investigation up at Ohio State University about whether he knew or did not know about allegations of sexual impropriety, misconduct, and abuse. But really, what we're going into the fall, if folks here watching think that things are really bad right now, wait till after the elections, when you have these leadership elections, not only for Republicans, but also Democrats, because Nancy Pelosi is going to have a fight on her hands as well, depending on how big the margin of victory if Democrats win in November.